Hello, everyone, and welcome again to A Breath of Fresh Footy. How exciting that we have a segment called The Reds, and it's very appropriate because both teams bleed red all the time in England. My microphone bleeds red, everything is red. It's awesome. But what's fascinating for me this year is to see Arsenal versus Liverpool three times before October. I think that's a world first in English footy, and I think it's great. And it shows how big these two clubs really are when it counts. It's not even 4 or 5 games into the season, and everybody knows where it's at. It's Arsenal and Liverpool. And why I wanted to bring Arnie on here, welcome Arnie to the Reds.
Hi everyone, welcome.
So good to see him, was that we should talk a little bit about this rivalry and why it means so much. Like, for instance, I have some statistics here. So, since we've been playing in the same league together, the head to head, so far we've played 56 times, and Liverpool have won 21 times, and Arsenal have won 16 times with 19 drawn. So it is a really, really full-on fixture. And,
Close.
generally speaking, they're close games because they're big, big clubs. So for Liverpool, they've won 14 times at home and 7 away wins. And for Arsenal, we've won 10 times at home and won 6 times away. Arsenal aren't normally behind in the win to lose ratio. So we know when we're playing teams like Liverpool and Man United, they are big, big teams. And it just shows how dominant Liverpool have been in the EPL. They have won so many titles, and we're catching up to them. But I mean, it's just a huge, huge rivalry. And what does those statistics mean to you, Arnie, when you hear those sort of figures?
Oh, Matt, it's I guess I mean, we even without the stats, everyone knows it's always an exciting game between the two clubs. I think back to some of the absolute classics, obviously the 4-4 draw a few years back with the Ashavin hat trick and Torres getting a score sheet too. That's such a beautiful game. There's always goals in the Arsenal Liverpool game. And I'm sure we'll go into today's one. We'll see whether the trend continues, but it's always an exciting one. I mean, I think back. Obviously, I'm thinking back to Liverpool wins, but FA Cup early 2000s when Michael Owen sealed it in the dying breaths of that game. I'm sure Arsenal fans would have been shattered because they had a very strong team at the time. It was a real upset for the Liverpool Reds to actually win that FA Cup. So that's a big memory for us, but. Yeah, it's always a tight one. It's always an exciting one. I mean, Liverpool probably had the wood over Arsenal in the past few years with our dominance and probably Arsenal's, I guess, staggering a little bit further down the ladder last few years. But definitely before that, it's been really great, and even of late, maybe more recent times, it has been definitely a lot closer. So. Very excited for it, Matt.
Yeah, me too. And what I love about this fixture is that that's the thing. I think it's swapped between Arsenal being dominant in that period of time in the 2000s, and now Liverpool is now 17, 18, 19, 20. That always changes. However, there's always been interesting results. Both teams always seem to pull something out. But of late, at Anfield, we've actually really struggled. But I hope this time, with the results that we've had previously, with a couple of more positive results against you, which has been very rare of late times, hopefully we can bring a bit more fight. Over the weekend, what do you think is going to happen? I'd love your comparisons, what you think is going to happen between the EPL game and the Carabao Cup, because my feeling is they're going to be two different squads for both teams, and it's going to really wreak, I think, a lot of goals.
Yeah, definitely will be. I mean, you look at the team that we put out just recently, and now 7-2 win against Lincoln Town. I think we only had Van Dijk was the only player that played at the EPL, and then Keita and Fabinho came on afterwards. But they were the only players that stayed. So I think, yeah, I think you're absolutely right. We're definitely going to have a different squad, and it's going to be a different game. In sense of different players on the pitch, I'm not sure how Arsenal might line up, differently. But I feel like I mean, all our players are set up to play in that same structure that we play, that 4-3-3, with slight variances depending on that player's flair. But I think all those players will probably swap out, but the structure is going to be the same from a Liverpool end. So I think we're going to have two different teams on the park, unless Klopp sort of feels he really wants to go a bit stronger with the Carabao Cup, maybe a couple of additional players going on. But I think this season, with the signings that we've got in the team, I think we're definitely going to be attacking these different tournaments with a stronger lineup, a stronger squad. I mean, you look at last season, we had our under 23s squad playing in the cup game, and that was it was great, but I don't think we were set up to win those games. And I know Klopp had his reasoning at the time, but if you look at the squad that we had, it was still a very strong squad that we put out against Lincoln Town. It wasn't who are these kids? It was like players who could well still compete against some of the other teams in the EPL. So hard to say from the Arsenal standpoint, but I think Liverpool is still going to match up pretty strongly and still play their style in both games.
Yeah, from what I noticed with us against Leicester, I think we're going to do the same thing. We're going to have two different squads, but they'll play a 3-4-3 formation. I mean, if you have a look at what we played against Leicester, it was 7 changes. Sort of felt like the youth academy squad, sort of that under 23s.
Right.
I think the difference with us with our under 23s, we had to breed in a lot last year because we had such a poor year. So they're already used to playing big games. They were playing in the firsts. Players like Reece Nelson, Eddie Nketiah, those sorts of players. Pepe, who's played a bit in the under.
Martinelli.
Well, yeah, Martinelli. Well, they know what it's all about. So that's why that performance against Leicester was extraordinarily convincing, because they made so many changes, but they didn't have that cohesion. We're very, very well set up to have two different teams in there. However, what I really feel is going to be defining about the EPL game and the Carabao Cup, I really think the Carabao Cup game will be a lot more open unless results happen during the EPL game for either team, and one will go slightly stronger in the Carabao Cup to make sure that they can one-up each other. You know what I mean? So it's going to be fascinating. But I love the fact that I feel for the first time in quite a long time, without the crowd at Anfield, I actually feel not as worried. I'm not expecting us to be slapped, which is really nice feeling. But we seem to play okay in the cups, so we have a great record, especially in the FA Cup. We're not so much in the Carabao Cup. We've been in 8 finals and only won 2. We lost 6 in this competition. So I think we'll want to try and make amends for it. But it's going to be really fascinating to see what happens. I wanted to talk about transfers in particular and why I thought you guys were really, really strong in that 7-2 win over the weekend, or not during the week, for the Carabao Cup. I loved seeing Jones on there. I thought he was fantastic. But Jota came on and he looked absolutely mint. That guy is so quick. He looks really like a big deal. And if he can find a way to fit into your squad, you can do anything with it. And also I noticed that a couple of times your players, they're playing this 4-3-3, but the number 9 goes right back into the defence. Phil's mentioned it a couple of times. It's like Klopp's created this new position called the double 9. So the 9 is at the top and then decides to go right back into the defense and then create this bit of play. I think it's genius.
Yeah. I mean, I guess a couple of things there. Jota's a really exciting signing, and one that just came out of nowhere for Liverpool. I think there was a lot of talk about Liverpool going in for Ismail, I'm going to say his name, Sarr from Watford. But I think it obviously broke down because of asking price, and obviously we picked up Jota, which I think most fans are very, very excited for. He's definitely is expensive, but I think he's probably the right price for his age. You know, up and coming, 23-year-old, done some really great things in the league. Portuguese international as well. Just scored his first debut goal, first goal for the Portuguese national team as well, which is really impressive. And he played really well in that game too. So I'm really exciting. I think Jota's just going to need to work out how to fit in the team. I think that's a tough bit for him. He'll probably play as, I guess, Mane's, I guess how do you say, his replacement or his cover, his backup, which is going to be tough because, you know, if you look at Salah and Mane, they're both very, very, very enduring players. So they're players that don't get injured very often. I think that's usually a mark of a real strong team, is when you have people who can play consistently in the team, and they're true players that continue to do it. So it'll be really interesting to see. I mean, the other thing about Jota, I feel, is, and it probably goes to that point about cups, is that I feel like Liverpool this season have now gone, okay, we're definitely going to compete Premier League, we're definitely going to compete Champions League, but this season we also want to be able to compete at an FA Cup and a Carabao Cup as well. I feel like in previous season, especially last season and the one before, I think Klopp kind of knew that we just didn't have the squad to risk the Premier League on the cup games. So he did definitely rest players and play his kids through those different games. This time around, kind of similar to what you were saying about the young kids, our young kids have now stepped up as well. You know, you look at Curtis Jones Jr., you look at Harvey Elliott. You know, these guys have now had a lot of experience. They're ready to play. You know, Curtis Jones came on in the Leeds game when the game was still up in the air. So, you know, you've got them, but these cup games, they're not going to be kids that were playing in there anymore. You know, the only kids are going to be Curtis Jones, Harvey Elliott. We've got players that are going in there who are competing for the first team. So, I think this season, with those two signings of Thiago and Jota, I think we're really going to, treat those cup games with a lot of respect. And yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we go find those cup games this season compared to last. But I guess what were we talking about? The number 9. I guess you sort of talk about number 9 role. Yeah, it's an interesting one. I mean, you know, Klopp didn't invent the false 9 by any means, but I think you know, Firmino plays it beautifully. It's his role. You know, when he first came to the Liverpool side, he sort of struggled to fit in. I think Rodgers had no idea where to sort of fit him. He wasn't Rodgers' signing, actually. You know, Rodgers didn't actually want Firmino, and so he ended up getting Benteke, so which was his ideal signing. So he sort of had Firmino, didn't really know where to put him, played him on the right, kind of playing behind this first striker. Klopp came in and sort of said, hey, I think you fit perfectly in this central striker role. And he's just done a fantastic job. He's done a real sacrificial job, I think, for the team. He cops a lot, I think, sometimes from pundits because, you know, he might not score all the goals that you see of a number 9, but he's creating goals, he's creating space, he's doing the things that you don't see on the pitch sometimes. You know, some of those little leaves, those runs that just bring Salah and Mane in the goal and just help them shine. So he's really important to our team, and it'll be interesting to see how our signings grow. And obviously Thiago coming in, it's a big one for us.
Yeah, well, I think, you know, somebody like Firmino is just so wonderful because he's got this Brazilian flair. He's a really good footballer. Can go forward. He can be back. I mean, it's great because it means now if teams decide to really study your 4-3-3 and Klopp can use this move, I mean, it's going to count. It's going to kick a lot of teams up the guts, you know, because now they have an extra flair to their play. They have an extra style, and that's what you need in the cups. And you know, I think that's why we've been actually quite good at them because we can now play a number of different styles, even with Wenger. When we were struggling in like 17 and stuff, he just played more defensively, you know, and we've been able to do that. So we absolutely smashed the cups like that. And and what you say with your team, you know, having more depth in the squad, I got a feeling a signing like Jota is very important because this is the season. As you're saying, your players don't get injured very much. There are a lot of games that are clustered up because of COVID. You're going to need really, really, really big squads. And I think it's you have to make the right signings. And I think this is what I mean when I was talking to you last time. The signings that you guys do, you seem to do them now at the right time. You get the right players, you know. To have those two signings happen a week and a bit ago, it's perfect because you know, if they had to quarantine or do anything, even though they didn't, you're breeding them in early enough. Whereas I think that's where we've been a bit poor. I think we're taking too long with Partey and Orr. And I really feel that if we're going to do these signings, they should have been done earlier so that they could be put into the squad. If they needed to be quarantined, they could be quarantined. And we're not waiting until the middle or the end of October now where there's going to be quite a lot of games. So it would have been great to have bred them in these cup games. But having said that, I feel, you know, there's going to be four teams that are going to be competing in the cups in particular. So my thoughts are it's going to be Liverpool, Man City, Chelsea and Arsenal. And it's because they have the depth of squad. Chelsea has the same thing because they had to breed a lot of youngsters with their ban. So when they play their under-23 squad, a lot of them played a lot of senior football last year in the EPL. So it's going to be fascinating to see what happens. But let's go to the EPL game because I think it's going to be fascinating to see. My predictions are that this is going to be really, really tight. I think it's going to be very tactical on both sides. I don't think it's going to be anywhere near as open. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, if Liverpool, I sort of thought about this, right? If Liverpool have a bad day and make mistakes like we did against Leeds, I wouldn't be surprised if Arsenal and if Arsenal play at their top form, you know, defend like crazy. I wouldn't be surprised if Arsenal can win it if Liverpool make those sort of mistakes again. I just don't see players like Aubameyang, Lacazette missing chances like that. I think they will kill you if they get a chance like that. In saying that though, I wouldn't be surprised if we come out there really respecting Arsenal and you know, with a bit of time now and the training grounds together, that we're going to come out really firing. Obviously, not having the Anfield effect is going to be tough. But I sort of think, look, I still think Liverpool are going to win on the game, but it's going to be really hard. My predictions, it's always hard to predict, but I'll probably say it'd be 1-0 to Liverpool.
Right.
I kind of see perhaps Arsenal, you know, defending really deep, controlling the game. As in defending really well. Liverpool probably getting most of the possession, and then us probably scoring somewhere in the second half. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if it's 0-0 first half. We come in the second half, score somewhere around 60th, 70th minute, and then Arsenal probably has to start chasing a little bit more. But I think, yeah, they might struggle to get past the press in that second half. That's my prediction, but. Yeah, who knows? Who knows what will sort of happen? Still early on in the season. Arsenal have obviously had some great results of late, and Arteta's, you know, got them well drilled, playing team defense. I think that's the difference between this Arsenal and previous Arsenals. I think there was lack of cohesion in the past. So it'll be really exciting to see. I hope it's not a 1-0 game. I hope it's, you know, a bit more open, but. Yeah, Arteta's, I think, a thinker, organizer. I think he's going to be very shrewd in the way he sets Arsenal up, and he's going to want to get on the transition and try to pinch a couple of goals from us. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's a bit more cagey and controlled by Liverpool.
Well, I think it's actually going to be a draw. I'd love to see us win 2-1, and I think it could happen if you guys have an off day, just like the last game that we played against you in the league. But you guys were a bit at the beach, let's be honest. But I mean, if we're going via the Community Shield, I thought both teams, we had a slightly weaker team, I think, than you guys, but it was still reasonably strong for a friendly, and that was 1-1. So there's goals that are going to happen. I just can't see both defences holding on the front, because all of our strikers, with our team and your team, they just know how to kick goals. I just see, that it's probably going to be, if an ideal thing, I think it'd probably be 2-2. If we can actually defend and we can break on the counter-attack, I think it's a big ask to ask Leno and our defence to have a clean sheet against your team. I mean, if we did that, I would be just so wrapped. But, I mean, that would be really unfair and really be a bit, wouldn't be right saying that, we'll be able to keep a clean sheet against Liverpool. So I think it's going to be a 2-2 draw. I think there's going to be a lot of goals. And, I mean, if
2-2 draw?
Yeah, 2-2 draw.
Ooh,
I think
nice.
I think there'll be a lot of goals in it.
That'd be good. That'd be a good game. Yeah.
Look, if we got a point out of it, I'd be absolutely wrapped. And for me, the EPL game is more important because that's where the big boys will be playing.
Yeah.
Having said that, the Carabao Cup game will be very interesting as well. And I can't predict this because I need to see that EPL game first before I'll make a decision on the Carabao Cup. Do you know what I mean? There's too much at stake for the teams. And I mean, both of our teams are undefeated at the moment, in this, in the EPL season.
Or won both games, yeah.
Yeah. So one of us is going to lose unless we draw. And I wouldn't mind seeing us draw because it's not a loss. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be Yeah, and then what did you think of the results last week with the games that you played and stuff in the EPL? Was it really nice to see you guys not having to go full kilter at Chelsea, but like very calm and collected 2-0 victory? I thought that was pretty sweet.
I mean, with some tough spots in the second half with the penalty and the that save on Tammy Abrahams. Apart from that, even the first half, like it was pretty calm and controlled by us. It was disappointing to see the red card at that end of the first half. It would have been really cool to see what was going to happen in the second half and really get the two teams matching. But unfortunately, that's just part of the game. I love seeing Werner out on the pitch. Fabinho completely blanketed him though in that game. Feel sort of sorry for him. I'm wondering if he's just got nightmares of Fabinho at night. It's actually kind of funny. Thiago, there's a clip of Thiago saying to Fabinho, is like, I think he said like F man, like in Spanish, but he was like F man. Now you're playing centre back as well, like almost like. I think he remembered when Fabinho played against him as well in the past and just knew how good Fabinho was. So it'll be interesting how we line up defensively because I think it's going to be a different defense to the one we played in the English Super Cup against you guys last time. With our centre backs all injured, Fabinho's probably going to play centre back again, who's done very well there. Trent's going to be back. We had Nico last time, and I think he got exploited a little bit. On that right hand side, I'd probably see Alexander Arnold probably do better. In saying that, Aubameyang's phenomenal. So, but it was good to see the squad back together. See Thiago playing. There was a lot of great things about that game. There was that amazing goal, that team goal. With Salah, Firmino, and Mane combining together. That goal was phenomenal.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was almost like a ideal. If someone said to Liverpool, hey, what's your ideal scenario? That would have probably been the ideal scenario, apart from conceding that penalty. Apart from that, everything was great. Got to see Thiago, got to see the team play. Mane got on the score sheet. Kepa's lost more confidence. Poor guy.
This is what I'm talking about. I said this to you and I've said to a lot of people from the start. You guys playing against Chelsea, it would be Kepa and Alisson that would be the difference. I'm sure I've said that a few times, and it proved correct because Kepa is useless, and that's why I think we've done actually reasonably well against you because Leno and Martinez, they're bloody good keepers. Do you know what I mean? They know how to save a ball. They're very athletic. And I'm personally shattered that Martinez is not with us anymore. But good for him, man. He deserves first.
Huge save on the weekend
He is a
in
freak.
his debut.
But I mean, it's also shrewd business by Arsenal as much as anything. I mean, the guy 6 months ago was worth 1.5 million.
Sold for 20, was it?
Yeah, 20. That's huge. That's good business.
Hope they spend it on the squad.
Oh yeah, we'll see. We'll see. 5 days, 6 days to go. Basically, trade ends on my birthday, so it's going to be really interesting to see who we get in. I just hope we don't get Jorginho. I just don't want to see him at the club. So. But I understand why he leads to the press because if they're going for Orr and Leon is playing hardball, I mean Jorginho is up for grabs. So I don't know. It's going to be very.
You guys don't.
He's too slow.
He's not the type of player you want. You need a big. I think you need a big player, strong sort of player in there.
We need Partey, really. We need somebody in that CDM spot who's quick because we have reasonable midfielders but they're slow, so we need somebody that's quick, that's really defensive minded as well, but can also take a lot of pressure so that our slower midfielders have a bit more space. But that's why I'm really looking forward to the defense, because I think it's going to be the battle of defenses. I think we're going to go in our game. I think we're going to go in with like a 3. So I think it's going to be, if Tierney's not injured, he'll be on the left, and then Duff and Louise are probably in the middle, and then Hecky B on the right. He did a good job, actually, against Leicester. Had his Bayern Munich run again, so we shall see. We shall see what happens. But, yeah, it's going to be fascinating. Also, guys, we're going to be doing a watch-along with this. Arnie and I will definitely do a watch-along, I think, on Tuesday. We're going to wake up in the wee hours of the morning, and we're going to be the red segment. And we'll see.
The time changed. I think the time got moved.
15 minutes, isn't it, or something earlier because of the curve?
The pubs.
Yeah, so I think they did that. But I think it's going to be fascinating. And we shall see if we're game enough. We might even try to do the Carabao Cup as well. So, because I never get to do this very often. I never get to see a team play somebody at the same place twice in 1 week. It's actually a treat. And I think for both Arsenal and Liverpool fans, I'm not sure what you guys think, but it's great to see us have to take the Cup seriously and the EPL in the same week because we're playing against each other and we realise that it's a big, big game. That's the best feeling, you know. And wearing this jersey, as I was saying to Arnie before I came on, because we had a drought of 8 years without a trophy, or 8 or 9 years, and this jersey was when Mesut Ozil signed for us and we won the FA Cup in 2014. I remember it vividly, and Aaron Ramsey kicked the goal, the winning goal against Hull City. I wear this jersey with pride. So it's really, really good to see. But yeah, it's going to be fascinating, viewing. And I'm glad that you could come along, Arnie, and we will definitely do this watch along. Have you got anything else to add?
No worries. No, just thanks so much for having me back on the show, Matt. And I'm keen to, watch how that game goes. And hopefully for everyone else watching, if you're just even a football fan, not even an Arsenal Liverpool fan, I'm sure you should get behind this next game because it is going to be a beauty.
Absolutely. And twice in a week, 2 big clubs, 2 matches of the rounds. I mean, what more can you ask for? I mean,
of the greatest season ever. Absolutely.
And I've been saying this to everybody. The footy speaks in this season because there are no supporters in the ground, and you really see the true colours of what these footballers are made from, because home ground advantages can really sway results. They have to find that energy on the pitch. And that's what's fascinating. And especially with the Carabao Cup, I think that's why this season will be probably one of the best League Cup seasons of all time, because you're going to get really good quality football because they have to find that energy within their squads and each other. So it's all going to be much more technical. I think the Carabao Cup's going to be amazing. And I look forward to seeing both games. You've joined us with a breath of fresh winds. I'm Matthew.
Fresh footy, fresh footy, breath
Fresh
of fresh footy.
footy! Fresh footy! Breath of fresh.
Go and subscribe.
Absolutely. And also subscribe to Arnold's site as well on YouTube. The more likes we get, the more segments we can put on a breath of fresh footy. And
If this video gets 10 likes, then Matt's gonna do the next episode wearing something funny.
I wonder what I can wear that's funny. I don't have very much. I'll have to find some. We need more likes. Thanks again for coming on, and we're really pumped. Really, really pumped. Good evening to you all, and good afternoon and morning.
See you at the game, guys.
See you for the watch along.
Bye.
Ready, start. Bye.